Call now.
Welcome back. This is Night Talk. I'm Jerry Bowyer, your guest host this evening. Ron Morris is here, telling rather amazing stories over the break. And Father Jay Geisler is here as well from St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, and Mark Laskow from Grey Court and Company. Mark was making a great point, which is in an environment like this where you have this kind of traumatic change, you've got to just set aside what your expectations are, what your social status is. You've got to go on and do the next job.
Yes, or else. I think Ron's phrase, waiting for the spoon to come back, you can, but that's, frankly, I say that has even less social status.
Mm-hmm. And in the long term, don't we all agree this is a good thing? We're going to get rid of the spoon-dependent people. Not get rid of them.
Well,
that's a bad.
Get rid of the spoons.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And,
well, I would actually argue, I'm not sure we're going to do that.
Although there may be more spoons, the way I see things.
Well, yeah, I think there's going to be some government spoons.
Yeah.
And there's some people that that's just how they're wired, right? So they're just going to have to find a different spoon. But not everyone's going to be an entrepreneur.
No, but this country was built on people that are very self-sufficient. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, but maybe you go down in the basement and you can strawberries or something. I mean, you find, I've seen people just in the last few months do amazing things themselves that they probably never thought they could do or probably never imagined themselves doing. Things like putting up preserves. I mean, home gardens. People are finding ways to trim monies out of their
Ron,
budget.
I think we're in the midst of a garden boom. Every time I go to Home Depot or Lowe's, I go to the guys that I've got to know and I say, "What are you selling?" And they say, "We're selling mulch. We're selling seeds."
Right.
That kind of captures the fear, but it also captures the hope. It's sort of like, okay, we're here, we're Pittsburgh. I don't know what's going to happen on my job, but I'm going to have tomatoes, I'm going to have peppers, I'm going to have zucchini, because I have a yard. And if I have a yard and hands, I can feed my family.
And we may be healthier.
Forefathers said the same thing?
They did.
Yeah. And by the way, some of these things may actually change us to be healthier. Yeah. In the sense of, like, what's wrong with everybody having a small, they have these micro gardens.
Right, micro
people
farms.
have fresh vegetables that we're not getting stuff. I mean, we've had some problem with getting stuff from all over the world. Right. Not everybody has our health standards. Maybe some things need to be done locally.
In a time of high energy prices, localism starts to trump globalism, and that's even before we get into the mood of trade protection in terms of locally produced. I think micro-farming is a kind of a target-rich environment right now for entrepreneurship.
I've seen more recombinants in the last 2 months than I perhaps have seen ever. Those little bikes.
Yes.
People are riding bicycles. People are walking. Like I say, out of all diversity, I think comes good things.
Yeah, and the garden things. It's funny because I work for relatively wealthy people. I mean, our average client size is about $120 million, which is pretty big for a family, maybe not for an institution. But I've been talking about vegetable gardens. And these people don't need vegetables. They're not going to miss a meal over the next year. But the idea that you can do that is actually a powerful idea. And I've been using vegetable gardens. It's weird. We didn't talk about this before the show. But I've been using the vegetable garden as kind of a metaphor for how to approach this thing mentally.
Right.
Because everybody needs the toughness, even the wealthy. But I told my wife last fall, I said, we raise bees and some other stuff, but no vegetables.
Right.
And I said, next we can't eat honey. You got to get a vegetable garden. And then of course, as you're entitled to do to your spouse, I was bugging her, and I said, from time to time, have you got the seeds yet? She said, no, I'll get them in spring. I said, no. Get them now.
Yep.
You're not going to get the seeds next spring.
It's going to be hard to get next spring. Right?
Stock market.
I ordered them a couple of months ago.
Stock market, good enough. Seeds, I'm excellent.
And my kids and I built the greenhouse in October, last October. And it just is sort of like, okay, that's something productive to do. Do something productive. All right, we're going to be back in just a moment with my good friend Larry Kudlow from CNBC to weigh in on some of the mustard seeds. Right now. We'll be right back.